Welcome. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. I hope you're happy too. Good morning. We're gonna have a day. And good morning. I wanna hear what you have to say. Do, 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 do. Yeah. Hi. Morning. I am John Halcyon Stin, and this is Love Morning. This is a daily practice of gratitude and connection. Welcome, Jet Set and Mimi Green, and hey, Zoe. Good morning. If you've got something you're grateful for, I would love to hear it. Del. Good morning. Hey, Scott. Hey, Delmer. What are you grateful for? I am grateful for a beautiful day in San Diego. This is like my favorite time for sunny weather when it's still kind of cool outside because the sun, it makes me so hot. But I like it this time of year. Good morning, Leanne. Good morning, Gerbot. Good morning, Brent. I'm grateful that I have a therapy session today with a new person that my partner is a big fan of. And so I'm looking forward to a different style of inner work today. Looking forward to that. Grateful that I got to go to the zoo yesterday with my folks. It was really fun. Welcome, Chaz. Hello, Uwu girl. Good morning, Kiri. Who's got something they're grateful for? Jetson says, is everyone okay with the flooding? Grateful for my morning coffee. Well, I will give you a cheers and enjoy some morning coffee with you. Good morning, Longmire and Jakaya. There's some people here that really had some damage to the floods. I have a leak in my ceiling. Actually, I have a contractor coming in today to look and try to find the source of the leak and estimate what it'll cost to remove the water damage and the leak in my ceiling. I've got a couple friends that had some significant property damage that isn't covered by insurance, but everyone I know is safe. Everyone I know is doing okay. It's just a lot of mud around in a lot of places. Kiri is grateful for a feeling of well-being today. Lovely. Gerbot, grateful for the break in the weather that allowed me to finish repairing my fence. That could be literal, that could be metaphoric, but that sounds like a solid feeling of accomplishment. Thanks, Gerbot. Longmire is grateful for our snow and sub-freezing temperatures, that they're gone. Yay. Zoe says, Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you. I am grateful. Yeah, I'm super grateful for the zoo visit. I've got a quick story for that in a second. Great morning to you, Jason. I'm grateful that I just typed up a whole kind of update on my pinched nerve and shoulder back issue. There's a person who's been guiding me, and I owe him a kind of a update. Haven't really, and a few people have messaged me going, "Hey, I keep looking for an update on how it's going since the epidural." So I kind of wrote up where I'm at, which is not as great as I'd hoped to be, but I'm doing okay. Like I can work on the computer pretty well without pain. I can do a lot of things as long as I'm careful about my emotions. I can put dishes away with one hand, you know. I try not to use my right arm, and things are okay for most of the day. End of the day, I'm usually in some pain, but I'm doing pretty good. My mindset is good. Super grateful for a very supportive partner. Good morning, Natasha. Natasha is super grateful for my friend Emily, who is a veterinary surgeon that fixed our rescue dog's airway before the drier, hotter months come. Yay, I saw your post about that, and I bet that feels good to know that you've given some relief to a little fur baby. I've been very aware of air passages lately as I've been taping my mouth shut to sleep. But I am I will count my blessings and my gratitude that I do not have a pug face to deal with airflow. Mimi is grateful for my purring cat on my lap and rest. I am in Ireland, so it's 5 p.m. here. Grateful for rest. Yay! So happy to see you in Ireland. I'm in San Diego, California. Welcome, Parrot and Sarah Ritchie. Okay, so you want to hear my zoo story? I had a couple passes, and so I was like, who do I want to invite? And Lisa couldn't go, and so I'm like, I'm going to bring my parents. So I'm grateful that I have a relationship with them where that was a legitimate desire for me to spend more time with them. And okay, so some of the highlights from the zoo got to see this gorgeous long yawn from a hippopotamus that just kind of just made me feel good, gooey, warm, and fuzzy, and awesome to see that. Saw a little youth orangutan playing around with adult orangutans, and that was just really great. But the highlight of the zoo trip was in the gorilla cage. Cage doesn't feel like a cage. There's a glass wall between you and them. Quite a bit of climbing equipment and ropes and things for them to play with. And there's, I think, like a river that flows through their enclosure. So it doesn't feel as depressing as like a zoo cage. So we approach the gorilla area, and the big 400-pound gorilla has got his back right against the glass wall. But if you go to the side, you can kind of see his profile, this gorgeous face, that's just like incredibly strong, massive being just sitting there, just cool as can be. And from the other side of the enclosure, the female, his mate, kind of slowly approaches and stands in front of him, maybe like 10 feet away. And he is just not looking at her at all. And slowly, she starts to get closer to him, And she's right in front of him. She's just not looking at her at all. She's like, no, but maybe 2 feet away. He like looks away. And she kind of goes in to kind of give him like a hug, and he swats her hand away. So she kind of takes a little bit back. She stays there for several minutes, and then she starts to get closer again. And she starts like flicking his toe a little bit, like, hey, I'm here. And he pushes her hand away. This went on for 15 minutes, but most of the 15 minutes was just them stillness, nothing happening. She's just in front of him not looking at her. And it was fascinating just to watch this kind of, maybe a courtship, who knows at this point, but her pursuing connection with him. And I was kind of ready to say that was cool. She wants it, he doesn't, and it's just fascinating. And then she gets closer, and she comes in and gives him like a hug, and everyone goes, oh, like all the kids and parents and everything, oh. And then about a second later, he pushes her down and starts going at it. Not really going at it, intercourse in a very kind of languid way. It was kind of like, she's like, okay, all right, I'll give it to you. You want it that bad? You've been very patient. I'll give it to you. But it was so cool to see this prolonged kind of attunement where they were out of sync, and it took this long process for them to find the energy of connection. At least that's my projection onto what was happening in there. And so I think in the human world, it's the men that need to slow down their approach. But good to know that all humans, all primates potentially need a little more than than simple friction to get it going. We need to connect, man. We need to feel there's something there. We need to feel safe. So, thank you to the glorious beasts of San Diego Zoo for enduring our invasive gaze and allowing us to witness their beautiful, I almost said humanity, their beautiful personalities and essence of connection. Let's see who else has gratitude or stories of animal sex. Leanne Cypress says, I'm grateful for an extra 2 hours of rest in a very long time. I really needed it. Now I'm here. Well, welcome and good to see and hear that you are rested. Delmer, grateful for 15 years of sobriety and that there's only 214 days until that thing in the desert. Grateful for Anonymous Village. Bravo, Delmer. And welcome, Kaya Hong Condominium Interior. And welcome, Brad. Good morning, Mingle. Enclosure is the term, not the cage. Thank you, Natasha. Good morning, Tall Paul. Good to see you. Hope you're having a lovely morning. Lucas asking, has your pain affected your sobriety journey? What a great question. Actually, at the zoo yesterday, I was really having kind of longing for a beer. Usually when I've gone to the zoo as an adult, I have done so intoxicated, whether with GHB. I think one time I went on acid, which is actually just within my acceptability. That is within my rules right now. But I did not want to do that on a trip to the zoo with my parents. I don't think I wanted. Actually, when I did zoo with acid the zoo, I did not have that great an experience. It ended up having like very aggressive, violent thoughts that was not good. But last few times I've been, I've brought like a flask and then got a beer there, and so warm day, warm sun, having a couple beers and cruising around the animals just sounded so fun. So I was feeling it yesterday. It's not like I wanted to do it. Like, I mean, like, there was no temptation. Like, I knew I wasn't, but I had the, I guess, the desire, but not the temptation, if that makes sense. Kind of like I could see a gorgeous 22-year-old woman and find them attractive, but I don't have any temptation to approach them or be with them. But as far as how the injury has affected, the hardest thing for me when I was in a really bad place over Christmas time and just had constant pain and nothing helped, I was kind of wishing that I had some way to escape from it. And so, I mean, luckily, I tried some Vicodin and it didn't do much. So I didn't like just take more and more and try to make it go away. But like if I had the awareness that if I knew that doing some K would relieve the pain, that would be a really challenging thing, especially if I had a kind of an uncertain future. And I've had that thought, when I go into a dark place of like, oh my God, is this going to be my life forever? You know, that certainty of like, I don't need this anymore. Kind of, there's a voice that be like, well, are you sure that, it's not worth it to at least have some relief sometime in the future? But, but it hasn't crossed the line into temptation yet. It's more just like a fantasy, I guess. I hope that makes sense. Good question, Lucas. Um, Sandy says, growing up in Houston in the 1970s, going to the Houston Zoo under the influence was always a lot of fun. Delmer says, as a vegan, I do not like zoos and think it's sad that we imprison animals and take away their autonomy. I think that's a legit perspective. My partner definitely does not like zoos. I'm curious if you've ever been to the San Diego Zoo or the safari park there. I mean, it's so much more than caged animals. There's animals that are there's there's a significant effort for conservation and for breeding and for learning. They took a picture of this sign on this bear enclosure. They say, hey, you might see mist or the sound of or the smell of burning wood, or all these sensations that they include into the experience of the bears to try to mimic their experience in the wild as much as possible, so that they can witness and learn from, and try to give them the best experience they can. I mean, obviously it's a very different experience, I'm sure, than being in the wild. Um, yeah, and wild animals as out of the wild. I totally see your point, and I see there is there is a desire and a love for the animals, a desire for helping, and a love for the animals that is very clear in the way that they speak about their programs there. And yeah, and again, I'm not saying you've got a right to your thoughts, and I think that there's not just you have a right; it's certainly valid. You are welcome, Gerbot. Natasha says, all of my dogs are fixed and they all try to hump each other sometimes. I'm fixed and I try to hump sometimes. Any more gratitudes today before we head out into our day? I'm grateful that this weekend is First Saturdays. We're going to have probably the biggest crowd we've had in a long time. We've been getting huge groups from several student groups. And then we've got another new group that say they're bringing 30 people, which is too many. But we have a long relationship with this group, and they come once every few years. And so, like, okay, we'll see. And then Loveworks is going to join us too. So we're going to have music. It's going to be a party. It's our 14-year anniversary. So I'm grateful for that. I had a kind of a moment of doubt last night, or concern. I'm a few weeks away from a year off of my of not using intoxicants. I am there's 14 years of First Saturdays. Oh, we're coming up on the 4-year anniversary of daily gratitude circles. So we're going to have a little party in Zoom next month. Maybe it's March, actually. So I'm like 4 years of daily gratitude circles, 14 years of First Saturdays, homeless outreach. And Lisa was kind of showering me with praise. And I had this feeling of like, I think there's a lot of people in the world that if they were running a program for 14 years, it would be in a much more impressive state than First Saturdays is in. But then again, I guess it depends on what impressive is. And I guess same is true with like 4 years of a gratitude practice. Like if that's my job, I've not done a good job of increasing and growing and providing a service for more people. It's a very small, dedicated group of people, a little community. So it's a great thing. It's just if that's my job, I do not get a promotion. My evaluation would be, acceptable. You are not fired. And I'm not a very ambitious person, so maybe not fired is good enough. Anyone else want to share some gratitude before we go? Joya says, the San Diego Zoo is a research and conservation organization, and that includes ending extinction for animals as well as plant species. Thanks, Joyous. Yeah, I mean, they say on the tour there that their plant collection is more valuable, more than their animals, and it's super fun to as you go through, like, whoa, look at that crazy Dr. Seuss tree, and wow, look at. I love that you can kind of go on a hike through the park, and you just in a canopy of bamboo and other trees, which nothing like a shady walk on a sunny day with trees over you. That's the best. You don't get a lot of those in San Diego. We're a shrubbery type environment. Okay, beautiful folks, wherever you are, I think it's time for us to get into this day and go out into the world and be ambassadors of gratitude and connection. So wherever you are, give yourself a big squeeze and feel yourself being connected to everyone here, being one of a massive army of love ambassadors, just shining our lights. Let's take a deep breath in. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and each one of us, thanks for being here for our love morning. Have a beautiful day. See you soon. If you're a gratitude person, I have a therapy session that is ending. I may be late if I make it to this afternoon. So see you later. You have a good day too, Delmer. Bye, everyone.